Is this thing on? I got the Shinigami pants on, so you know this is serious. Hey, ignore the taped up mic stand. It is very broken. So recently Spotify recommended me a playlist just called Liminal, and the sort of tagline was no clip, out of reality. And liminal space and related aesthetics have kind of pushed their way into popular internet culture through the form of eerie pictures and audio clips. The most popular depiction of this liminal space concept is the Backrooms, a series of dull, empty, yellow corridors, forever changing, and it's kind of devolved into this TikTok creepypasta. But I digress. So, what's the big deal? You know, Spotify has made a playlist. They've titled it Liminal. They have put songs in the playlist. That's what you do with playlists. What's the big deal? Well, I listened to it, and isn't it kind of just ambient music? Like, the artists featured in this playlist, involve Fraker, Aphex Twin, Gold Panda, Video Days, Daniel.mp3, and more, and they're all featured in this playlist, but I'm not sure that liminal would be the first descriptor they would use to describe themselves. So I think this use of the word liminal to label ambient and electronic music or a mixture of the two is interesting because I kind of view it as a response to how perception of music evolves with cultural trends, especially now in the age of the internet where so many different trends and aesthetics and interests are constantly overlapping across different platforms. So one could make the argument that liminal could be recognized as a legitimate genre, characterized by discordant ambience, dusty lo-fi aesthetics, and reverb-heavy instrumentation and vocals. But in reality, this is Spotify latching onto and capitalizing on the recent internet interest in liminal space and utilizing the term to create a playlist to attract those who are already interested in those concepts. And I don't view this as a bad thing. I think that associating multiple interests can help you appreciate art a lot more than you maybe initially did. If calling ambient music liminal falls in line with pre-existing interests and helps you appreciate that music, then go for it. But then again, the inclusion of songs like Jack Stauber's Oklahoma and Sitcom's Still Live kind of seem like a stretch. Those are pop songs. Speaking of, the variation of artists included in this playlist is interesting to me because you'll be listening to I by Aphex Twin, a short and ambient electronic track that focuses on airy and wavy atmospheric sounds, and then up next is Chopin. And because of this, I can't quite see liminal as a refined and polished genre, given Spotify's own depiction of it is a playlist with incredibly varied sounds, styles, and genres of music. However, I do like the idea of it. Associating non-musical concepts with repeated styles and motifs in songs can kind of help bridge the gap between interests and result in some really cool and fun combinations of said elements. A lot of these songs, despite being ambient and despite being reverby, and, apart from some outliers, a lot of these songs do carry similar stylistic choices. Even in the genres of ambient and electronic music, a lot of these songs kind of carry same mixing quirks, or if there's vocals, the vocals are all mixed and delivered in a very certain way. And I understand that taking the visual concepts of liminal spaces and associating them with ambient and atmospheric elements of these genres of music, it makes sense. So I don't know. I'm on board with it, and I think that if the playlist was a little more refined, it would be pretty cool. And I'll always appreciate when an official Spotify playlist showcases musicians that are experimenting and pushing boundaries. Artists like Henry Nowhere, Slow Moon, and Dreamcorp are all involved and have a place on this playlist. And in comparison to others on the list, they're relatively small artists. So I'm kind of torn because liminal, it kind of seems like taking an internet trend and applying it to pre-existing genres of music. So it kind of seems a little redundant in that sense. But at the same time, I'm also very okay with it because, like I said, it is bridging the gaps between interests that transcend medium. So it kind of helps people associate pre-existing interests with new ones. Either way, I don't really have a big concluding point to all of this. I just thought the playlist was interesting, and I think it's a very good representation of how culture popular culture, especially on the internet, can impact and influence how we consume music, how we label music, how we alter labels to pre-existing labels of music, and how music can impact the concepts that we create and consume for enjoyment on the internet as well. So thanks for watching. Catch me next week when I talk about why vaporwave is the greatest genre to ever exist.